7:30. Now, 12 drivers. Netanyahu needs to pick his name, pick his car and his name. His name's too difficult. Gosh, it's all going on, Ghost.
It certainly is.
A long old day, but it's going to be capped off with some great racing. I'm certain of that much, at the very least. Let's get everything all ready and raring to go then. So, good evening everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 for tonight's dose of racing action. I'm Sumo, your commentator this evening, and I'm joined as always by my amazing co-commentator Ghost. How are you doing, mate?
I am tired, but I know a good Tier 2 race around Baku is going to be revitalizing. So we'll see how it goes. As you say, 12 drivers. We've got something like 8 drivers on who have some opportunity at a championship this season, with 2 rounds to go, including this one. So it's gonna be quite the race.
Yeah, it really is. It's round 9 of the championship, then the penultimate round of Tier 2 Season 6. And we head to the Baku city circuit that sits along the Caspian Sea in Azerbaijan. 6.003 kilometers see us round a lap of this street circuit. That is a challenge for the drivers, with it not being too popular among them either. Tight, twisty corners, walls ever present, and a flat-out Sector 3 where the slipstream is vital. This is going to be one hell of a venue for a penultimate round of what has been an absolutely barnstorming season, if you want to call it that, to get the commentary terminology out there. Anyway, Ghost, you raced at this circuit as well as shared the booth for ESRL on Friday. So talk us through the track. What's this venue got to offer?
Well, I have not had a good time at this track this season in any league that I've been in. 2 DNFs and 1 4th place when I really should have been on the podium. So it's not treated me well. It's a very, very difficult track. I think I know I practice a lot at Monaco, but I would go as far as to say it is easier to DNF here than it is at Monaco, because there's so many high-speed places and so many places where the slightest wrong turn or too early or too late turn in will immediately crash you out, whereas Monaco you'll usually only lose a front wing. So yeah, it's very, very tough track, and with championships on the line for over half the grid, this is going to be quite the test of who's going to rise to the top.
Yeah, it certainly will. And as you mentioned, the championships, then we'll move on to take a look at the championship standings heading into this qualifying session for round number 9. Daphne Hillis then continues to lead the way on 122 points. Just 5 points behind is Lawrence, looking to close that gap and take the fight to the McLaren driver. 10 points behind then in 3rd is Mr. J-Man, who needs to bring his best to these next 2 rounds, as he's not had the best of results in the last couple of races we've had over the last few weeks. Femi, Tier and JBS Steve aren't too far back either, with the likes of Little Manny Man and Krauser still within a shout, although they're in an outside shout and need to score well here today in order to try and get even closer as we go into Interlagos next week. But we'll take a quick look at the constructors now as well, and Ferrari continue to close the gap. They've closed the gap that was about 50 points or so, down to 18 points, and with only 1 Red Bull here today, Ferrari are set, well, they're set to have the advantage going into the session, as they will have 2 cars able to score points. They will close in on the Red Bulls. Little Manny Man is cheering on his teammate, Mr. J-Man, who will be hoping for the best result possible in order to minimise the damage of not having his teammate. But we've had an incredible season of racing, Ghosts, and we're not quite done yet. We've got this round, and we've got 1 more round of racing to go. Any insights as to what to expect over this round and the next?
Well, those that are in the championship battles are going to try and be as careful as possible, I reckon. But those who are approaching, those who are not in the lead and a few points behind, maybe Mr. J-Man, someone like him, is going to produce some moves when the top guys are going to be more cautious. So I think that's what to watch out for today. But I think certainly the Ferraris are going to be cautious because they know as long as they both finish, they will gain points on Red Bull in the fight for the Constructors' Championship. Darth Nihilus as well, you've got to keep an eye on him. He's gone out on the mediums. He's just having a bit of a banker, it seems, to start with. But he nearly didn't make it today. He's been quite ill today, unfortunately. But his medication arrived just in time, I heard, so in the Discord. So he's on track, and I hope he can fight off the illness and get the positioning he deserves. But at the moment, it's all on the line for him as the championship leader.
Wow, what timing! If Darth Nihilus loses the championship lead, he'll be very gutted about that. But but it's qualifying. There's no points at the moment, and we're waiting for the first lap times to come in. I see there's 5 people currently watching the stream. 3 likes. Please do make sure you drop a like on the stream. It does help me out a huge ton as I continue to get more and more into commentating as I go along, and all the support is helpful very as well. So if you've not subscribed to the channel, do so. Go over to the Ghost channel, check out the Onboards stream. Nathaniel crosses the line and sets the pace of 1 minute 41.5 then. As we wait for the rest of the drivers move, Hitty immediately going to the top of the standings at 1 minute 41.3. Only 2 tenths ahead of the Aston Martin. This man has not had the best of seasons. He was P2 last season. You wouldn't believe it if you look. And then Mr. J-Man, 1 minute 40.8. He has been one to watch in qualifying fairly consistently, and I imagine he'll continue to rock things up if he can get some decent lap times in. And they're coming in, Ghost, and there's a 42.5 there. Femi Thrustmaster, 4 lap from the Alfa Romeo, and some teamwork at Mercedes.
Yeah, Lawrence, obviously he races no line. He's just going to get some bankers in to get to know the track. He's sort of forced into no line for Tier 2, because otherwise he'd be a bit too fast. Robsu, he's a new one today, a new entrant into Tier 2. It's good to see him on track. He signed up last week but couldn't quite make it to his first race, so it's his debut today, and he's just put it into P3 with a 1:41.3, so not a bad showing from him to start with today.
No, certainly not. I'm talking about bad showings. Watching Tier now, he's crossing the line, and he's had a decent season. He's going into the pits, unfortunately. He's backing out on that lap, but I'm sure he'll manage to set a lap during qualifying. But he's had quite the comeback. He had a lot of big moments last season, lots of inconsistent drives, but he finds himself in contention for a championship. And here comes Krauser. He's in an outside chance of the championship. I believe he's sat in P8. If I take a look, yes he is. He's on 94 points, so he's not too far back at all to Darth, who's on 122 points. So, you know, a win here today, you can see Krauser really go up the standings, but that might be some wishful thinking from myself. But you never know in motorsport, anything can happen, and you're watching LB, he's making his way through this flat out sector 3.
Yeah, defending champ LB, not had the best of seasons, obviously wrought with formation lap disqualifications and connection issues, but he's coming across the line now to set a 1:40.0, destroys Mr. J-Man's time, and he takes pole position.
Yeah, provisionally on the top step is LB. That's a mighty lap to begin the stint with, and it'll be setting down the gauntlet for everybody else to come up and try and challenge that lap. LB doing a decent job, and there's another driver who's had a decent run of form. I think he was a reserve for a little while, and then he decided to jump in the Mercedes with Lawrence, and I don't think a constructor's title was on the cards for them, but I'm sure LB will be trying his very best to help Lawrence seal out the Drivers' Championship. It's so close this season. I think this is the closest it's ever been in Tier 2 history. I've been here since the beginning, but for the life of me, I cannot remember Talk too much about the championships. I'm never the stat person, you know. I've never really been a note taker either. So it's, you know, I try and remember things, and I latch on to certain pieces of information, but that's about it really. I can call it as I see it, but I can never remember the action after it's happened. I've slept since then, so it's, you know, it's rinse and it's you know, reset and carry on.
Well, I mean, it's certainly the season with the most people who have a chance at the championship. That's for sure. Because obviously last season, Pommy Alex won by just 2 points from his teammate Muhiti. But obviously that was with an incredible victory in the final race of the season when it counted. But we also had Madman and who was it? Was it Tinoz versus Madman that one season?
I think so. Yes, that was close. Tiddu has just been an absolutely drama-filled championship from start to now. Every season has had its heroes and villains, its ups and downs, and its, you know, high moments, low moments, whatever you like to call it. And it's been such a pleasure to watch along and see all of these moments unfurl on track. And, you know, this is the place I started as a commentator, and it's got a really dear place in my heart, Chris, I must say. 8 people watching now. Give me those likes, people. Come on. The 3 people now who haven't liked the stream. You know you are.
Well, Tyr is on a lap right now. It's looked very, very awkward, I have to say. A lot of lockups and a lot of missing apexes from Tyr. Got that one all right, but it's a bit too much inside on exit, so a bit of a messy lap from Tyr, but I'm sure he just wants to get one on the board. Ooh. And a bit of a slide there. Manages to save the car, but obviously will have cost a few tenths. I don't know if he's going to see out this lap. Obviously last lap he tried, he went straight back in the pits again, so he might do the same. Because it's not been a great outing, and he's hit the wall as well. Not ideal for Tyr. He's really struggling here in Baku. Round to the final actual corner, I believe turn 16, and down towards the last 2 kinks on this straight. Is he going to head into the pits? Lawrence is retired. Lawrence is out with Smee. There's contact between the two, and that's huge for the championship possibly, as Tyr does indeed peel into the pits, but Lawrence and Smee coming together. I'm not sure what happened there, but it was at turn 2, and Smee, if he's not gotten out of the way of Lawrence's lap, and he's had an adverse effect on this championship result, then Lawrence is going to be very, very annoyed.
Yes, I'd imagine he works the Ferrari teamwork going on now, I think, as well, but I don't know, I can't really comment on it. I didn't see the incident in hand, but just from where the cars are parked and how they were positioned, I feel that there might have been something that happened as Smee came out of the pit lane and Lawrence came in towards turn number 2, and that was where the contact must have been made, of course, to ensure that they were both out of this qualifying session. He's on quite a lap here. He's 7 tenths up, Ghost, in the second sector, and he's it's a 40.7, 6 tenths off of LB's time, but it puts him on the front row and into P2.
There's a lot of improvement on this track because there's so many corners which you can get absolutely perfect on, and it gains you a huge amount of time. So you often see drivers improve by 6, 7, 8 or more tenths on their final runs. So still 6 minutes to go in quali. I think these times are going to continue to come down. JB, I've just been watching, he's on a lap. LB on an out lap just ahead. We've got Mr. J-Man. Is he coming to the end of his lap? No, he's just starting one.
Yeah, let's see, he's about to cross the line. It's not the biggest improvement he's got, and not doing too well this circuit, it seems. Maybe he's got a bit more time. I think it's a 41.5. I'm not sure what he set in Tier 1, but I know he finished there. No, he crashed actually with you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think he continued in the race, but
he continued for about 10 meters.
Yes.
JBF Steve goes to P2 with a 40.6. Great lap from the Ferrari driver as he gets himself on the front row. Mr. J-Man was indeed on a lap, he just didn't improve. LB is also on a lap in the Mercedes, looking to cement his pole position at the moment. Netanel has just finished his lap, I believe. So LB, the only one on a lap, and he's 1.5 tenths up already in Sector 1. Wow.
He's got a lot of pace, does that man in the Mercedes, and now that his teammates are out of the session, no matter how it has happened, he's got to be the one to lead the charge for Mercedes, and hope that the rest of the championship drivers aren't doing so well. I mean, Daphne Hillis at the moment isn't doing so hot in this qualifying session. He's down in P9 with 1 minute 41.5. He'll have to find some time out on the circuit to try and improve. It's actually quite close among the midfield. Look at that. Femi Fussmaster on 41.508, 5.23 for Natanel, and 5.39 for Daphne Hillis. So very close between those 3 times. And then Krause is only a tenth or 2 ahead, who is a couple of hundredths of a second behind Rob 2. And then in amongst the top 4,
J-Man,
Mr. J-Man, 40.3 from the Red Bull. He snuck that in while I wasn't looking, but that's a decent lap from the Red Bull. Tier is coming into the pits. Here comes LB.
He's in the
on
pits.
his lap. He's backed off. He's in the pits. No improvement there then. But yeah, it's quite close between the two, and that time's getting closer now. Mr. J-Man's found some time. He's going to have to find a bit more to challenge pole position. But yes, we go to the live chat. Hello Ash, nice to see you in there. LB's in the chat as well. Ash, actually, I've been meaning to tell you, I've never got round to messaging, but I'm assuming you're still watching the stream. I hope you are at least. But we've got the F2 Championship coming up, and it's cross-platform. So if you wanna hop on in an F2 car and try race against some of us over in APP, you're more than welcome to join us. More the merrier, as I say. But yeah, great qualifying session going on right here, and Tier's not on a lap yet. He's only done a not to set one. We're coming into the final moments of qualifying. Mr. J-Man's going to be cutting it fine as he's coming round towards the pit lane. But I think we've got quite a qualifying session here. We'll see a few protagonists who might go after LB in his time. We've got Watch, our championship leader, who's just coming out of the pits now. He's got some time to find on the circuit. Oh, he's starting to look back at his closest rival, Lawrence, who's only going to be a place behind him if things were to finish as they were. Oh, that's
just gone deep at turn 2, yeah. Mr. J-Man into the pits. He's got 2.5 minutes. I don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he's got enough time, Sumo. It's going to be very, very close, but I don't think he's got enough time at all. Tier has retired. He's crashed at turn 3, the exit of that corner, it seems. So he is not going to be setting a time today, unfortunately. Really struggling with this track, it seems. Femi is just about to start his lap, so I'll ride on board with him, but I'm keeping an eye on Darth as well, because I know the championship leader is going to be wanting to be a little bit higher than P9 in this qualifying session.
Yeah, he certainly is, and it's definitely not a lap that's overly representative of his pace.
He's out!
He's had an incident, he's out! He's crashed in the castle section!
He has done a Leclerc. That is really, really bad for both our top 2 in the championship. Both of them out of this qualifying session without really setting excellent times at all. 9th and 11th for our top 2 in the championship. Oh wow, what a qualifying session this could be, and what a race this could be, seeing our 2 protagonists trying to fight their way through the field, especially with their main rival Mr. J-Man in P2.
I said that Tier 2 always offers some insanely dramatic action, and it's doing it again. Our top 2 in the championship both crashing and starting toward the back. You know, could we really see Krauser get on the top step of the podium tonight and close that gap down? I don't know, anything could happen at this point. I think those drivers who are currently in the pits aren't going to be setting laps. That's LB, he won't be setting another lap. Me won't be, but he's out of the session, of course. And the McLaren and the Williams of the tier, I should say, the tier. They won't be setting laps either. They're all out of this session. But Femi Fussmaster, he's going to be the first driver to set a lap in these dying stages of qualifying. He's just got a few corners to navigate. That's probably the last proper corner on the circuit. Does scrape the wall there. Lucky that's not bugged anymore. But coming down now, going to open up the DRS to give him that extra boost of speed as they go, really punching a hole into the air, crossing the line. And it's only P5 for Femi Fussmaster, but that's going to see him into the top 5 for the time being. How about Muhiti? He's not on him.
Robsu improving by half a second, Sumo. Robsu up half a second, could get himself into the second row here in the Aston Martin on his debut. What a brilliant debut it would be. Here he comes towards the line. DRS is going to open round about now and all the way to the line, hands off the wheel. You can't do anything now except press the pedal, and down towards he goes. 40.8 just behind Muhiti, but it's still a great qualifying result for Robsu. P5 for him. What about Crozer? He's going to be the last one to set a lap. Oh, and JB.
Yes, he is, and JB as well. Both Ferraris are out. JB, the lead Ferrari in the pairing. Maybe he will give his teammates some slipstream to get him up, boost him up there. They're both currently behind Mr. J-Man. They need to find some improvement and try and get ahead of him. They're not too far behind, although Krause has got a bit more work to do on his side of the garage. Fastest in Sector 2 is JBS Steve, so he's definitely on an improved lap. A couple more corners to go. Here comes the Scuderia. Down now towards the DRS zone. Going to open up the DRS. Going to give it everything he can. Going to go all the way, hurtling down almost at 300 kph, or about 200 miles per hour perhaps as well, but coming down across the line, gives his teammates some slipstream. Crozer improves, JB doesn't. Crozer improves up to P6, so Femi knocked down a couple more places. Another member of the championship fight down the grid where they shouldn't be, but that's going to be your qualifying section. I don't think Femi's on the lap at all, and it's going to be LB on pole position with a decent showing from the Ferrari duo and the new driver in Tier 2, Robsu, on debut, putting it in the top 5, which is not a bad result at all, despite the numbers that we have on the grid. Everyone here is incredibly competitive, and it's a good job getting into P5.
Mr. J-Man is going to be the one to watch. He's sitting on the front row with all of his rivals down the grid. Darth and Lawrence in particular, but also Femi. Mr. J-Man in a really good position to gain some points after what was a huge disappointment last week. He just spun too many times, and he was on for a good finish, and then he spun again at the end at the crucial time after the safety car. So he is looking good to regain some of those points in time for the finale.
Yeah, he certainly is, and it's just what he needed. He needed these guys to come down. J-Man is, remember, P3 in this championship, and he's going to have everything to do this evening, especially since his rivals are behind him. And he's got to really try and get ahead of LB and control this race. But let's run you through our qualifying order then for this evening's Baku City Grand Prix. It's LB on the top step of the, well, on the top of the grid, I should say, on pole position, with Mr. J-Man joining him on the front row. JBS Steve and Muhiti occupy row 2, a decent showing for the Turkish driver, with Robsu and Crozer occupying row number 3. Femi Fussmaster and Natanel in P7 and 8, with Darth Nihilus and Smee rounding off your top 10. Lawrence in P11 and Tyr, the only driver not to set a lap, in P12. That's going to round off your grid for tonight, and we've got quite the race in store, Ghost.
We certainly do. This is going to be absolute fireworks. With championships on the line and the penultimate race. This could be very, very drama-filled indeed. And with our two protagonists near the back of the grid, who knows what could happen?
Well, I hope that the drama-filled part of that isn't going to be lots of crashes. I think I can't remember how many we did. I did a back-to-back stint in the commentary booth, Baku. You raced. You also joined me. I joined you for commentary at ESRL, and I think in total, I want to say there were 9 safety cars.
Yes. Or it might have been 8 actually. I think we had 3 in P1.
Yes, it was one or the other. But there was a lot of safety car periods, a lot of incidents. Both races Tier 1 started with 18 drivers. We ended with 9. And ESRL, we started with 19 drivers, and I believe we ended with 12.
We ended with 9, I believe.
Ended with 9 again. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
But to offer a positive note, the Elite Championship, which happens on Sundays, which I race in, we had an excellent race. We had one safety car, someone crashing of their own accord, but there was fantastic racing up and down the grid, little to no incidents at all. So it is possible, it can be done, and I suspect with a smaller grid it's more likely that it'll be a bit calmer, but we will see. I do hope that we don't have another ESRL episode around here, but I'm sure Tier 2 have got their wits about them, especially Smee. After the crash in qualifying, it will have woken him up a bit, I think.
Yes, and we'll wait and see if the stewards will be saying anything about that till probably after the race at some stage. But anyway, let's run you through the tyre strategy then. 2 drivers opting for an alternate strategy with the rest of the grid, so that's the 10 other cars opting for the mediums. We've got the top 4 of LB, Mr. J-Man, JBS Steve, Muhiti, all on those medium tyres. Robsu starting on the hards with Krauser, the meat in a hard sandwich on the medium tyres. That's incredible. I'm never going to live that sentence down. That'll be up to the commentary awards, of course. But Femi Frostmaster on the hard tyres as well, with Netanel, Darth Hillis, Smee, Lawrence and Tier all on the medium compound of tyre as well. From what I remember, it is a one-stop strategy round here. A safety car early on would really ruin the races of Robsu and Femi Frostmaster, as they will be forced to pit fairly relatively early. Depending on when the safety car does come out, of course, because going on the one stop and on the end, well, on the mediums all the way to the end will be quite the stint, because the tyre wear's not too nice around this circuit from what I remember either. And I think a lot of the drivers in the session tonight, they were in the Tier 1 session, so they've got that insight. They're opting for the mediums, I think, because they know that's what the strategy was in Tier 1, and that's what was working. I just wish the game could be enough so 2-stop would be viable. Yeah, for sure. Lifeback wants LB to do a Charles. I don't want LB to do a Charles. I want no safety cars, actually. I'd love that. But yes, this is going to be quite the race, Ghost. And we're almost done with our formation.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got. I'm going to be riding on board with Lawrence for the start. See what happens at the back, especially having a look at Darth as well, who's going to be directly in front of him, his championship rival on the grid. So, yeah, this is going to be. I really hope that we have a clean start, but we will see. With championships on the line. And some people further back than they should be. We will see what happens as Lawrence spins into the wall on the formation lap as he gets into his grid box. Robsu and Femi, like you said, on the hards, they're going to struggle early on, and especially if there's an early safety.
Yeah, Lawrence doing a little life bout there. LB really weaving left and right with that car. You can see him almost drifting the car around. LB is disqualified. Don't worry, he is still going to race, but they'll just be starting a little bit misshapenly. The top 3 of the top 4 all out of line in their grid, but we wait for Tier and we wait for Lawrence to line up in their grid boxes, getting ready for this race, and we wait for the lights. I'm hoping there's going to be no major glitches this time, but it looks like we're going to get the obligatory one, so we're going to have 5 red lights, a slight delay to the start perhaps once they go out, so we wait and we wait and we wait for the racing action, and we are now racing here at round 9 of Baku for Tier 2 Season 6, and it's a great start for LB. He's covered off the Red Bull at the moment. It's JBS Steve and the Red Bull going side by side, a little bit of contact between the 2 of them at the moment. It's Mr. J-Man up into P2, and Mahiti gets past the Ferrari, gets himself into P3 at the moment. That's a deep go for the Red Bull at the moment. Mr. J-Man is going to have the Alpine all over the back of him as they run down towards turn 3. It's the inside for Mr. J-Man. Mahiti's going to be forced to go the long way around. Side by side they go. No, Mahiti pulls out of that move. Robsu has got ahead of JBS Steve as well. Bad start for the Ferrari driver at the moment. Femi Frostmaster going side by side with the other Aston Martin of Netanel. Gets himself up in place at the moment. It's a poor start for Darth the
contact between the championship rivals, Sumo. Lawrence into the back of Darth. I think just a little bit cautious from Darth and caught out Lawrence. I hope there's no damage to the Mercedes. There's contact ahead as well. Femi and Netanel make contact into turn 7 and Femi's round. Netanel continues, but a bit of contact there. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Oh, that was incredibly close. Tears spun in the castle section, hit the wall and ghosted just in time as Femi Fussmaster went for. I got an amazing view of that on stream.
Oh, that was that was close. LB already has a 2.5 second lead from Mr. J-Man. Muhiti just over a second behind the Red Bull at the moment. Robsu's doing fantastically on those hard tyres at the moment as well. As the two Ferraris, 5 and 6, and then Netanel, and then our two championship rivals, Darth and Lawrence. I think Lawrence may well have damage. He looks a bit off through those kinks. I think there's damage to that front wing from the contact with his rival, and that is not the start he would have wanted.
No, not at all. I think Miss Darth Hillis is racing along with the Aston Martin of Netanel, who goes, covers the inside, goes deep though, and it's going to invite Darth to go for another move down the inside of turn 2, goes to McLaren. Oh, and the Aston Martin just turns in on him. That's not going to be seen too lightly from the stewards. That's going to invite Lawrence into this as well. The two champions, ship rivals at the moment, they are close by. They are one place behind the other at the moment. The McLaren's going to have to be wary of this Aston Martin in front of him. Doesn't want to make unnecessary contact. He's got a championship on the line. There's no visible front wing damage on that Mercedes, but it could be olive green damage, and that is enough around this circuit. Tears had to come in for an early stop, as has Smee as well. So some first lap drama for those two to navigate at the moment. But LB has opened up the gap. It's definitely not almost a lap up, I will say. That's a timing error at the moment. And there's a few of those around making their way. Smee has crashes out, and
Smee's
that's
out.
A virtual safety car.
And there was contact up ahead as well. I saw a bit of front wing as Lawrence was heading through castle section. We do have a VSC. I don't think it's going to be upgraded, so we will see. But yeah, Lawrence, I think...
Oh, JB, no wing.
Oh, that must be what the debris was then.
Not even Ferrari with a wing.
Well, you know, I don't know if there was contact with Robsu or if he just made a mistake. I'm sure we'll find out later, but JB is going to have to head into the pits. Did you say both Ferraris had no front wing?
Both Ferraris, no front wing. I think what might have happened is one Ferrari did a Leclerc and the other went straight into the back of the other Ferrari.
Oh dear,
that's going to be a double stop and a very long time in the pit lane for Krauser.
Yeah.
They're going to need a safety car at this point because they're going to be way back in the race. Tyr might even catch them at this point with a wing change and some tyres onto the Ferraris as well. So early stop for the hards. They're going to have a long stint now. It's to stay on that hard tyre. Tyr might just get out behind them. But the Ferrari pit crew changing that wing as well. Watching this is it's I don't know, not interesting I suppose, but it's part of the race. But we're back under racing, so let's head to the front. LB's got a 1.5 second gap at the moment. Muhiti, look, he's fighting in the podium places, Ghost. This is a flashback to last season, but the battle we're interested in at the moment is Darth Hillis and Lawrence, who are stuck behind this Aston Martin, who are currently P4 and 5 as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing well as Darth goes very deep, just about avoids the wall at turn 7. That was close, but it's going to invite Lawrence just behind him. But yeah, Aston Martin's doing well, but a disaster for Ferrari, and that's not what they need. As Darth spins, Darth into the wall. Is there a front wing on that McLaren, Sumo? Can you see?
Yeah, there's a front wing just about. I don't know if there's olive damage like on perhaps on Lawrence's car, but there's still a front wing remaining. I think he just narrowly avoided the wall by mere inches, perhaps. But look, Robsu now, he's getting involved. Look, he's got some great pace on those hards. He's just set the fastest sector 2 of anyone.
Wow, fantastic stuff from Robsu. You don't expect that from the hard tyres. I thought he would drop like a stone, but it's not happened at all. Yeah, Ferrari in their push for the Constructors' Championship Not a good start at all to this race, but Robsu sets the fastest lap. Netanel now sets the fastest lap. They're all coming in. Femi as well sets it. So the hards looking decent at the moment, which is very surprising. But yeah, Lawrence will have been secretly quite happy to see his main rival crash into the wall there. I don't know, Darth hasn't stopped, so I think he's just about managed to get away with no damage. That's very lucky.
Yeah, incredibly lucky for Darth there, but he's got some work to do now. He's quite far back from his championship rival, and it's not where he would have wanted to see himself at the beginning of this race. Muhitti's doing well. He's keeping the pressure on J-Man. He's mindful of Robsu behind. He's keeping the gap nice and just outside of DRS, which is quite vital around this circuit, with that incredibly long run all the way down to the finish line and the first corner as well. That's where most of the moves are done around this circuit. Also turn 3, great place for overtaking around this track, and there's really not many two other places you can go, although we did see some great overtakes in ESRL and in Tier 1 as well from the racing that we did get. And it's certainly possible, although the walls, like I said at the beginning of the stream, are ever present around this track. And Muhitti, if he can keep this form up at the moment, he could be in for a decent race, as Robsu's a little bit shaky out turn 16, but a little correction and he's back going. And he's just within the DRS range now of Muhitti, so they're going to be in the DRS all the way down here.
Absolutely. That gap to LB has barely changed as they come down, but here comes Muhitti now, sets the fastest lap, has a look at the inside of Mr. J-Man, doesn't quite send it, but just letting the Red Bull know he's there. The Turkish driver out for blood today, it seems. He's had a terrible season, there's no getting around it, but after he came second place in the championship by just 2 points last season out. But if he can get a podium here, it would be fantastic result for him. So he's just challenging Mr. J-Man, who, as we've said before, has his championship on the line with both his rivals further down the grid.
Yeah, he certainly does. LB's doing an impressive job as well. It's a shame he's not really too much in the championship fight right now, but yeah, Muhitti's really got it hooked up around this circuit at the moment, and he's driving. This is nice to see. He's driving like he was last season. He's just in the fight there. He's looking quick. He's looking put together as well. Looking fairly consistent. I've seen very few mistakes from the Alpine as of yet, and a cue of the impending spin.
Yeah, I was about to say, what have you done?
Coincidence comes in. Yeah, what have I done indeed? I mean, if I was talking about Tier, he'd probably spin on command, I suppose. But no, I mean, Muhitti, I think he's found some form. It's a shame that his teammate Pommy Alex isn't here, because it would have been interesting to see if he'd found some form in these dying stages of the championship. Just a pair of them, they've had an awful season, Ghost. There are championship rivals. They were the top two. They were the constructors champions, and you know, we keep speaking about this, but it's just a wonder, really, that the two top guys of the championship have found themselves in such a torrid position in season 6 of this Tier 2 championship after such an incredible season prior. And it just makes you wonder what had happened. And I think you know, the winter break didn't really help them out, and they've just, I don't know, I guess they've just not found the form that some of the other drivers, like you know, Mr. J-Man, he wasn't having the best of times in Tier 2, but he's found some form this season as Muhitti continues to close him down. He's dropped Robsu to a gap of 1.9 now, so it's just these two fighting. This is our closest battle on track. But yeah, J-Man has found some form. Lawrence is doing better this season as well. I think he had a few inconsistent moments, and a few drivers who have had you know, a Tier as well. Tier's improved his consistency greatly, and you know, I guess in some weird sense, the universe giveth and the universe taketh away, and it took it away from one and gave to the others.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is baffling what's happened to who are now the two Alpine drivers. They were Ferrari last season, of course, in their dominant season. But yeah, it's not like the grid has changed that much either. We've obviously lost a few drivers since that last season, but the main bulk of the grid has stayed pretty much the same. So it is baffling to see them both have such a torrid season. But Muhitti is putting pressure on Mr. J-Man here. That gap to LB is still pretty much static, and Robsu is also, that gap's also pretty static as well between the Aston Martin and the two, although Muhiti and J-Man did gain a bit on the hard tyre runner. But I imagine Robsu is going to be a real threat later on in the race, in the second stint, assuming we don't get a safety car, of course. Also, one thing I wanted to comment on, Femi came into the pits. There must have been damage to the Alfa Romeo, because he was running on the hards from the start of the race, and he's just come in for a set of mediums, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there with Femi.
Yeah, he'll be hoping for a safety car for sure at this point in the race, and there's a few drivers who are way back. Tiers had some right drama. He's had an awful qualifying, awful race now at the moment as well, and a safety car isn't always likely, but it's ever present at this track, I think, because one crash in the wrong place, that's it. I mean, all we've got to do is put it in the wall and castle section, and that's it. That's the race more or less over. The safety car guaranteed to come out. I mean, in real life, it would be a red flag, of course. We don't have red flag periods in the Formula One games. It'd be rather boring, I suppose. And I don't know how they talk about whatever they talk about during the red flag periods, but professionals are professionals for a reason, I suppose. And that gap, actually, is dropping back now.
Yeah, that was, I think, the first real mistake we've seen from Muhiti. It wasn't a sort of a damage mistake, a wall mistake, but it was certainly a mistake. He just went too deep into turn 7, and then also in the castle section went too deep into turn 8, and it gave him a terrible line through the next following chicane, and he lost about half a second to Mr. J-Man, and he's now out of the DRS despite a mistake from the Red Bull ahead of him as well into turn 15. But yeah, so no one in DRS range at the moment. It's a uncharacteristically quiet race ever since lap 1 here in Baku.
Yeah, it certainly is. Hopefully the pit stops spice things up just a little bit, but I think the Hitter's got some more pace in that Alpine, so he might just catch onto the back of J-Man, and any mistakes, of course, the Hitter will be all over him. But yeah, a little mistake there. And I find as a driver, Ghost, that around this circuit you can really, I think a lot of the time, you can try and maximise every corner, I suppose, but you've really got to try and push and maximise the castle section. There is so much time to be won and lost through there. If you can carry that speed up the hill and into that right and left afterwards, you could really sort of claw back a lot of time. And I think a lot of drivers, because of how tight that section of the circuit is, it's always Muhiti gives a little tap of the ball there. He'll be hoping no damage on that Alpine. But given how sort of tight the section is, I think different drivers are a bit more tentative through there, a bit more nervous through that part of the circuit than, say, some drivers who just throw it in there. I was certainly one who would find myself just trying to throw the car in there. Muhiti hits the wall again. He won't want to do that anymore if he can help it. That's not helping him chase down Mr. J-Man. Let's hope the complacency is not creeping in. But yeah, castle section, very important part of the circuit, I think.
I think there's damage to Muhiti's car. He was very tentative through those two kinks. We might see him come into the pits here. I think he sustained some damage. He is on the left. Yeah, he's in. Muhiti, there's definitely some damage to the Alpine from that wall hit. So into the pits for the hard tyres. Mr. J-Man just looked more consistent than Muhiti the last couple of laps, and it has showed as the Turkish driver comes into the pits. I'm shown a picture of an empty pit box for some reason. Can you see if he's changing his wing? He is changing his wing, so yeah, there was damage.
Yeah, it's definitely changing his wing, but I couldn't see it. I had only sort of the halo and the rest of the car in shot. So poor camera angles from Codemasters once again, but well, a lot of gaps, a lot of big gaps here on the circuit. Where's Muhiti come out? He's come out behind Arthur Hillis and Lawrence, who Lawrence has closed a little bit. He fell back and then closed again. It was 10 seconds at one point in the early laps. Now it's back down to 8.1. Lawrence is struggling to keep up with the Aston Martin. So I must say, having a decent shot. I think Netanel, I think this is only his second race here in APP. So yeah, he's doing well.
He is doing well, and Rob's doing his debut as well. Keep an eye on him. Remember, he's going to be on the medium tyres in the second stint and should be a lot faster. But Yeah, Darknihillis closing down Lawrence as Lawrence just sort of, the gap to Netanel is sort of ebbing and flowing. It's not really consistently going up or down. So maybe some mistakes creeping in for both drivers. I think there was a mistake there from Netanel. Yeah, Lawrence just gained about 0.8 through turn 15. So definitely mistakes creeping in as the tyres age here on lap 9. But Lawrence will be wanting to stay at least ahead of Darknihillis today and gain a point or two as he taps the wall. I think there's definitely been damage on that Mercedes, Sumo, since that collision with Darth on lap 1 as Netanel comes into the pits. Perhaps there was indeed damage to the Aston at that turn 15 mistake, but Lawrence stays out still with this. I'm just looking at his driving, just riding on board. It does seem to me there's a bit of damage to that Mercedes. It has done ever since that contact with his rival. So I'm sure he'll tell us later on whether he's in the podium interviews or not. But yeah, I'd be interested to know there's a safety car. What's that for?
I don't know. I am baffled. Any damage?
Codemasters? Do you have an explanation for us?
Somebody slipped in race control. Tier's got no wing.
Okay, that'll be it then.
Possibly debris in the car section.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, someone in race control slipped and accidentally pressed the button. No, but this all it's good news for Darknihillis, that's for sure. As well as Lawrence, I think, in general, because both of them compete on the hards. Robsu's got a decision to make. You can go the mediums to the end, but it's going to be bloody difficult from here. They will be quite tired by the end, but he will be very fast to begin with, so he's got some time to make up, but he's going to be absolutely rapid to start with. I'm interested to see where Muhiti is going to come out here, because obviously he pitted just a lap ago. So terrible timing for the Turkish driver, but we'll see when everyone else comes in. LB obviously in, Mr. J-Man as well. What about Robsu? He's keeping to the left, he is into the pits. Lawrence should be in as well, I'd be extremely surprised if he wasn't, as well as Darth. Muhiti will stay out, of course. Netanel as well, they've both pitted already. Interested to see where they all shake out here. LB's just exiting, as is Mr. J-Man, so they will keep 1 and 2. Robsu exiting as well on the mediums. Is he going to be ahead of Muhiti? I think he is. Yeah, he is. Muhiti just coming down the straight. So, big gain for Robsu there. He's gained a place on Muhiti thanks to that safety car, and the Alpine driver is going to be frustrated with that.
Yeah, always JB going to jump the McLaren. I think he is just jumping that McLaren out of the pit lane. So there's a car in between our championship rivals as the safety car period begins. But it's JBS Steve who has opted to stay out on the hard tyre. But I think he came in early. Yes, he did, because he had that ring damage. Could maybe go to the softs at the end, or this could just extend his stint on the hards. And the same for Krauser as well. So they might not have to pit. They might find themselves back in decent point scoring places. They'll want to definitely get themselves into the top 5 if they can, or hope that Mr. J-Man has some sort of catastrophic error that brings him down or out of the race. All they've really got to do is score with both cars.
Mistake from Netanel coming out the pits, caught live on camera, unfortunately for him. Just outbraked himself into turn 2, but no harm done. He just reversed the car out and got back going again. Didn't even lose a position because Tier was too far behind. Tier, by the way, 4-lap-old medium tyres, going to try and go to the end. Oof, that is quite the run on those tyres if he can do it, but that's going to be very, very difficult, and he proves it by going deep at turn 3, mirroring Netanel's mistake at the next corner. Yeah, this safety car restart is going to be very, very interesting. I hesitate to say it, but I think it's going to be packed with drama, Sumo.
Yeah, I think so. I wonder, has anyone ever been lapped by the safety car?
I'm not sure. Not in APP.
If Tier continues to make any more errors, could he be lapped by the safety car? I mean, I think it's too far back for him to be. I think it just crossed my mind. I mean, I feel like he's more likely to put it in the wall than he is to be lapped by the safety car.
Well, I don't think Lawrence got his wing repaired in the pits. I'm not sure, but either there wasn't any damage, or he forgot to set the wing repair to yes instead of auto, because the game doesn't tend to do it if you've got superficial damage, even if it does affect you quite a lot. So I'm really interested to hear if Lawrence had damage or not. It looked to me like he has since lap 1, but yeah, I will be asking him whether or not he's in our interviews later on.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see Tier once again in the pits then. We might be having one more lap of safety car, I think, so we'll have to wait for Tier to close back up. Well, it shouldn't be too long. Crows is just joining the back of the pack now. You just see him in the background there as we watch the cars filter their way through turn 7. We're watching Lawrence at the moment, our second place driver in the driver's standings at the moment. He finds himself 2 places ahead of his championship rival, so he will close up on him at the moment, but he won't take the championship lead, of course. So Carlton Hillis will still hold that, but it'll be, what, things to end now, a 3-point gap going into the last race. So you know, another close season, and you know, there's still other drivers in it. Mr. J-Man, I think he's in a good position to level the lead, or at least get himself in amongst a small amount of points as well. But you know, there's still plenty of racing left to go. Safety car hasn't come in, so we're all going to go around again. And yeah, might have to try and break out some waffle first. As we go along. If we don't know, when was the last time we did a helmet review?
Oh, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Let's run through some helmets. We've got plenty of time. It's a long circuit. Let's see, LB. What's his lid? What's the lid on LB at the moment? I can't really see it. It's grey. It's pretty yellow there as well. I wish there was a helmet cam.
Yes, me too.
That would be good, so useful. But oh yeah, look at the yellow on the back there.
Oh, I quite like that, to be honest. I think that's quite tasteful. I personally, I give that an 8.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd give that an 8 as well. Good job, LB. J-Man, I don't think it's quite a default.
It is a default. It is a default.
Okay, yeah. Right, 0. Robsu, oh, he's got a nice helmet. He's got, again with grey, but this is a more cyan or maybe baby blue with the black. I think it's not. I think it might be just a default design, but in terms of the colours, but it still looks quite nice. I'll give it maybe a 5.
Yeah, 5 or 6 there.
Lack of creativity. Default from the Hitty, 0. Lawrence, I was commenting on his helmet in Tier 1. It stands out a lot. It's this very sort of metallic red and yellow, and I quite like it actually. The black there on the helmet too. I'd give it an 8. I like it.
Yeah, I agree with that. 8, maybe even 8.5. That's or up to the dizzying heights of 9. That's quite a striking but very nice colour scheme on that helmet there.
How about JB? I can't really see JB's helmet.
Sort of black with a gold stripe and then red at the back. It's quite nice.
White on there too. Yeah, quite nice. But safety car is in this lap. Then we've killed some time over talking about the driver's lids. So LB is going to slow everybody down. He's going to let the safety car go, and he's got from the moment the safety car pulls into the pit lane to the line to get this race underway once more. And he's weaving, getting some warmth into those hard tyres. They're going to be mindful of Robsu, who will have much more grip, but he will have to go a long way on those mediums, which should just make it to the end of the race at the moment, but it'll definitely be quicker if he is. Safety car's in the pit lane, so LB is going to be trying to find a place to try and catch him out, and he's gone at the moment. And Robsu has got an amazing restart. He's all over the back of Mr. J-Man at the moment. He's just a 10th. He's in the diffuser of the Red Bull, and he's going to be trying to look to set up a move. Looks to the inside, then to the outside, and back to the inside. Goes the Aston Martin. It's side by side. Is it J-Man allows him the space? One's deep and onto the curb now. They're side by side once again, and that's Robsu into P2, and I think J-Man's got nothing left to fight him at the moment, and that's the Aston Martin into P2. A great restart for Robsu. He's now got LB in his sights ahead. Meanwhile, Muhiti is shaping up a move on the Red Bull at the moment. He's closing, looking to the inside, but he pulls out of it. It's single file at the moment. After Hillis is up in place. He's past JBN Steve at the moment, and he's got Lawrence in his sights, but JBN Steve's going to look to the outside. There comes Femi Fussmaster, a late move on JB, who's now lost 2 places.
And here comes Netanel as well, around the outside of the Alfa Romeo, still on the inside, but backs out very sensibly just at the right time. But what a move from Femi. I don't know how pleased JB will be with it, but it looked, it looked okay from my view. Not really any contact, and made the corner. So yeah, maybe JB won't be happy, but we'll see later on. But yeah, what a restart for Robsu, and he's now got LB in his sights. Could the newcomer win on his debut?
It would certainly be a story, Ghost, I'll give you that much, but LB was loving life before that safety car, and now he's got Robsu on those softer tyres in his sights at the moment. Meanwhile, Muhiti's battle's been revived thanks to this safety car, and Lawrence and Darth Hillis, they still find themselves one car following the other, and definitely fighting each other. I think Darth Hillis is struggling for some pace. Lawrence may or may not have damage. We still do not know what the state of that Mercedes is at the moment. It's a swap of places between the Ferraris. Krauser must have a bit more race pace than his teammate at the moment. Muhiti's still close to the back of J-Man. Nothing comes of it. We've got 5 cars in a bit of a DRS train at the front at the minute, but J-Man is struggling to keep up with Robsu, who has got a decent exit and has got the run on LB at the moment. He's closing in. The gap is coming down, but he's not quite going to be close enough for a move. Neither's Muhiti in the background as well. So these 2 fights going on, and they won't want to fight too much, J-Man and Muhiti, because they'll invite Lawrence and Hillis into this fight as well. When Darth has got Femi and Netanel to worry about just behind him.
Yeah, he certainly does. Those mediums looking way better than the hards right now, and Robsu putting all sorts of pressure on LB at the front here. What a debut this could be at the moment. Tier as well putting pressure on JB, who's really struggled. He's got 12 lap old hard tyres, so it's no wonder that he's fallen down at the start, or at the restart rather. Yeah, the pressure is on for P3 and P1 at the moment. But Mr. J-Man got Muhiti and Lawrence just behind him. Lawrence certainly will want to get past to gain some more points in this championship battle. Crucial battles happening here in terms of both championships. Yeah,
certainly so. And I think Muhiti had a bit of a tap with the wall, and that's invited Lawrence ever closer to the back of him. And he's still close, but we're watching this fight at the lead at the moment. Robsu's got a great run on LB, and he's in the slipstream now. He's going to pull to the inside. They're going to have a drag race all the way down to the braking zone of turn 1. LB defending the place, side by side they go, and LB stays ahead at the moment. Robsu backs out. He's going to set the move up into turn 3. He's going to have to focus on an exit out of this corner and onto the run down towards that 3rd corner.
Brilliant driving from Robsu. He could have gone for it there. It's been hugely risky from where he was, but he decided to save it. He knows he's going to have DRS the next time he goes down that straight, so he's decided to leave it a little bit longer, but it is inviting Mr. J-Man back in DRS range of the top 2, and Muhiti and Lawrence as well will be right there, as well as Darth Nihilus and Femi, who's trying to keep up. He's struggling though on those mediums to keep up with those top 6. He's not the biggest fan of this track, it seems, the Cameroonian.
No, certainly not. And he's been putting on some incredible performances. Although the stewards have been investigating him this week over an incident in China last Tuesday, but that's all been resolved now. A little slap on the wrist and a bit of a warning for the Cameroonian driver, and we'll hope that he doesn't find himself in the steward's room again. Yeah, this Aston Martin looking racy. It's got some race pace on it at the moment, and LB is he's got a look in his mirrors, Ghost.
Yeah, Robsu using those mediums to their full effect. He is looking incredibly quick as they come down the straight. He's going to have DRS, and this should be the move for the lead, I think. Our newcomer is going to lead a lap on his debut at least. Here he goes down the inside of the Mercedes and into P1. Is LB going to fight it? He's not going to be able to because Robsu ahead before the braking zone, but LB does indeed fight it. Tries to go around the outside. That's very brave, but he can't manage it. Robsu with the superior grip leaves him room. He's quite a good racer, is Robsu, isn't he? It's fantastic to see.
Yeah, he had great awareness there. I mean, some drivers would have.
Here comes Muhiti, sorry, Tumo.
And here comes Muhiti then. He's going for a move, is he? He's gone around the outside of Mr.
And Darth as well on Lawrence. Further back for the two championship rivals swapping places. Darth into P5, Femi as well. A bit of contact, I think, with Netanel into turn 3, and here's Crozer around the outside of the Aston Martin as he has a bit of a moment on the exit. Can Crozer go all the way around the outside? Surely not. He backs out very sensibly. You can't go side by side through that section of track. And Netanel stays ahead, but all happening on the run to turn 3 there.
Yeah, it was. Here's he past J-Man. Darth past Lawrence. Coach, we've got our top 3 all within striking distance of each other.
Yeah, we certainly do. It's yellow flags.
Oh.
That is Tier again. JB's out. JB out the session. We've got another safety car. What happened to JB? I'm not sure if Tier was involved. I think he was a bit too far back to be involved. I think JB might have just lost it on those 14 lap old hard tyres. It's no wonder really, but that is a disaster for the constructors.
Yeah, it is. Now they've only got one car, and not only do they have one car in a low points paying position, that's not going to be helpful. Although, what's Robsu doing? Is he going to come into some fresh mediums? I think everybody might come in for fresh mediums or some softs maybe.
Robsu's in.
Yeah, here we go. Robsu in,
Muhiti out.
in. Muhiti stays out.
As does Mr. J-Man. Darth Nihilus in, Lawrence in as well. So Muhiti and Mr. J-Man both lead the race. Robsu with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane though. Oh, that could cost him this win. Tier stays out. Crozer stays out as well. LB onto the softs. Sumo, I've done quite a few laps of this track the last week or week and a half. Softs last about 4 laps and then they start going. 8 laps, you are going, after 8 laps you're going to just be in the doghouse, it has to be said. So LB, he's going to be incredibly fast at the restart, but later on he's going to struggle. But wow, what a what an absolute classic we're in for here. There's going to be maybe 7 laps of racing after the safety car comes in. And we've got 4 drivers on old tyres at the front of the grid, including Mr. J-Man, who needs to gain some points on his rivals. Muhiti is leading the race, Tier in P4, and then we've got Robsu with a 5-second penalty, LB on the softs, Darth and Lawrence, the top 2, 7th and 8th on fresh mediums, Netanel on fresh softs, and then Femi on slightly aged mediums because he's used about 17 sets of tyres this race.
He certainly has. And look who's in P3, Ghost. Krauser.
Yeah.
He's found it, and he's on the mediums. He's in a decent spot actually. Those mediums aren't going to be in bad nick, although they are going to be in a bit of a state come the end. But I think that's only natural considering where we are in the race at this present moment. But, you know, there's the guys on the fresh sauce. They've got Tier as well. They've got to try and navigate that Williams as well. And, you know, constructors may not be... It will definitely go to the last round if things were to end right as they were right now. And Ferrari would really need to bring their A game, but Red Bull would most likely have both their cars back. So that would be quite an interesting fight. And they'd really have to outscore the Red Bulls then. Meanwhile, top 3, where are they? Or Mr. J-Man opts to stay out. Will that be a mistake?
Yeah, you have to wonder. Same with Muhiti, but Femi in for the pits again. I assume this is going to be for soft tyres, so keep an eye on the Cameroonian. He's no stranger to a risky move, and with a championship on the line, we may see some outrageous moves from the Alfa Romeo driver. I just have to lament on JB, really. No, Femi onto the other set of mediums, which are more worn than the other set.
Okay.
That's certainly a decision that you can make. But yeah, JB, I don't understand really why he stayed out the first safety car, because he was already on the old hard tyres. Could have gone on to the mediums. Yes, it would have been hard to take them to the end, don't get me wrong, but those hard tyres were always going to be hard to control, and he was always going to have to pit again, so it's just frustrating for Ferrari, I can imagine, because they could have really closed the gap to single-digit points to Red Bull today, but as it stands, Red Bull are going to increase the gap.
Yeah, Ferrari, like they've done it in real life, just throwing away chances at a championship. And it's not over yet. There's still a race to be had, and there's still 6 laps of this race to be had as well. I think the safety car will be in this lap, so we will get back under green flag racing very, very soon. And yeah, there's definitely a lot to be keeping an eye on. He's got LB on the softs. He's got Robsu, who's actually well, except for those who pitted, the lead car, but he's on those has that 5-second penalty to contend with, the only penalty of the session, it must be said. No track limit ones, but it's quite hard to get track limits penalties around here, except at a couple of corners perhaps.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Tia's still on track for another 6 laps, Sumo.
Yeah, true. I feel like you'd get a track limits penalty on Jeddah if you found a way. I mean, it's easy to do there as well, I guess. There's a few corners that are nasty there. But the safety car is coming in then, and Muhiti is going to lead us away. He's weaving and weaving and weaving. The safety car's in the pit lane now, so he can go any moment, really. When will the Turkish driver punch it? He's weaving, he's waiting, he's waiting. He's going to leave it quite late, I think, and he's all over the track, really, left and right and left, and he's really just holding everybody up, closing down the pack. When is Muhiti gonna go on those tyres? I think he's gone. There he is, and I think J-Man has been savvy to it as well. So is Crozer. At the moment, they've left Tier hanging. At the moment, Robsu's looking to make a move on the Williams. Goes around the outside, or has a little bit of a look on the exit.
As well.
Oh, Crozer's spun it in the wall.
Oh no, the Ferrari, it's a disaster for Ferrari as Robsu down the inside of Tier at turn 2. LB trying to make a move. Lawrence has passed Daphne Hillis meanwhile. Tier is going to be 3 wide into turn 3 maybe. LB backs out. Robsu up to P3. Tier down to 4th place. Can LB go round the outside of the Williams through turn 4? I wonder. It's what he's going to try, and he brakes very late. He makes the move, and he's got the space left by Tier. LB up to P4. Tier trying to hold on, but he's not going to be able to through turn 6 and down towards 7, and he's hit the wall, and Lawrence is through. Daphne Hillis down in P7. Lawrence up to 5th. It's all happening here at the restart.
Yeah, it certainly is. Oh, there's Netanel.
Netanel out. Could that be another safety car? It is another safety car. Oh my goodness me. And I have to say, all of these safety cars, this new one is going to help LB. It's going to help Lawrence for sure, because he now has another few laps where he doesn't have to do anything in order to stay ahead of Daphne Hillis, who's now 2 places behind him. There's Tier in between them, but on 8-lap-old hards. Muhiti still leads the race on 11-lap-old hards. Mr. J-Man as well, just behind. But, I mean, again, I said at the last safety car, but we're in for a blockbuster finish. But it's just a shame all these DNFs at the end.
Yeah, it is, and does Muhiti stay out? I think he does. I think he's going to stay out, guys.
You have to, really. You've made the decision at the previous safety car. You can't change it now. You've got to stick to your guns, and yeah, both of them staying out. Mr. J-Man, all the pressure on his shoulders to gain some time. Tear into the pit, so that releases Darth just behind his main rival. Tear should be in for soft tyres, I imagine, to the end of the race. Femi as well in the Alfa Romeo, Crozer as well. They're all going to be on softs, and they're all going to be ones to watch towards the end here. And Femi is out ahead of Tear because there was front wing damage to the Williams.
Yes, certainly so. Muhiti then, leading us around once more. And I must say, he did have a 1.4 second gap to Mr. J-Man behind him. And, I mean, J-Man did have that little bit of a tussle with Robsu. A little bit of a poor exit out of turn 2 as well. And got involved fighting with LB and Robsu down towards turn 3 as well. So left Muhiti, left Muhiti out on his own. And if Muhiti can make the most of this next restart, and this will be likely the last restart of the session as well, Muhiti is, could be, for the first time this season, on the top step of the podium, if not on the podium, depending on how Robsu race goes. But there's still the threat of the Mercedes duo. LB and Lawrence, the only two teammates left in the session. There's still Darth Nihilus as well. He's on the medium compound tyre. And now Femi, Tear and Krauser on the softs as well. And a better shout to put them on now, as there's less laps to be completed.
Yep.
And they're going to be incredibly fast. So Muhiti and J-Man have got it all to do. But remember back to Suzuka this season of Tier 1, where Rick held against, 5 soft runners?
Yeah.
And went on to win the race. It's doable, but
Tier
the
is
tracks
out
are completely
under safety
different.
car.
He's George Russelled it. Oh, Tier, what are you doing?
What has he done? On the fresh softs as well. Tear.
I spoke too highly of him, guys.
He did.
Too highly of him.
And he is now definitely out of the championship race, unfortunately.
Oh, such a shame. We've lost one of our championship contenders. But, these things happen in racing from time to time. We've started with 12 drivers, now down to 8 drivers as well. Rick happy that he got mentioned. Didn't think I forgot, but as I was saying, going back to that point, completely different circuits. Suzuka, it's twisty, it's narrow, but overtaking isn't the easiest. There's only one DRS zone, but here there's one long flat out section, one long DRS zone as well, followed by another relatively long one, and with decent overtaking opportunities into them as well. It's going to be much harder to defend and make that car as wide as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have some intel from the Discord, by the way, Sumo. Netanel has pinged Darth Nihilus, the championship leader, and asked, "Come on, man, why?" So obviously there was contact between the Aston Martin and the McLaren. Netanel feels it was Darth's fault. I'm sure we'll find out later on. But could be some stewarding trouble on the way for the championship leader at a crucial time in the season. Safety car is going to be in this lap though, and I think, Sumo, the one to watch is going to be LB Racing. He's on those soft tyres, but he's done most of those laps under the safety car. Robsu just ahead on the mediums, but he's got a 5-second penalty, and then you've got Muhiti and J-Man on very old hard tyres.
Yeah, certainly. LB, and I think it could be a double Mercedes podium, especially with that penalty as well. But they've got to stay where they are. They've got to hold station. Safety car is in this lap then, so we're going to get racing once again. This will be the last safety car that we have this session, because there won't be enough laps for another one to really come out. Muhiti in his default helmet, weaving, making their way down towards the line. Safety car not yet in the pits, he can't go just yet. Just waiting. Watch that yellow dot on the mini-map on the right-hand side of your screen. It's approaching the pit lane, which you can just see. It's a very thin white line just to the left of the main straight. But in comes the safety car then. So Muhiti's got All of this time now, he can start the race up whenever he wants. Will he go late again? Will he go a little bit earlier this time? Who knows? Cars weaving, some cars not weaving. It's all down to strategy, all down to preference. It's a psychological battle when you're restarting a race at the moment, and Muhitti's gone roughly the same place again, and LB has got a great restart. He's challenging the Aston Martin already. The Aston Martin defends to the inside. Will LB try and go around the outside? He does go around the outside of the Aston Martin, but still respectful racing between the two of them, and Robsu continuing to show us that he has got some great track awareness out there in that Aston Martin. I've seen plenty of drivers go side by side into turn one and put the other driver on the outside into the wall. That's some great racing at the moment, and Robsu all over the back of Mr. J-Man. This is exactly what Muhitti needs to try and pull away as fast as he can. He will certainly try. At the moment, there's a bit of shuffling toward the back, is there? No, Femi was having a look at Daphne Hillis. These two have had a bit of a few scraps on the circuit at the moment. Krauser will be trying to set up moves as well. Robsu still a tenth behind Mr. J-Man at the moment. They're all within a tenth of a second of the next car ahead of them at the moment, and they're all trying to find a way through.
Oh, Mr. J-Man very deep at turn 7, and here comes Robsu around the outside of Castle. No, he backs out. Very sensible, but J-Man hits the wall, and that's contact with the wall. Robsu's going to try and get past now. He's got the overspeed, the better tyres, and Mr. J-Man could have damage from that, and he could have just thrown away a podium. We'll have to wait and see. There's still 3.5 laps to go in this one, but LB, Lawrence as well, Daphne Hillis, and as well as those two soft runners at the back. Femi, wow, okay, he's braked far too late for that corner, and just gone straight over the curb and gotten past Darth, but he's definitely going to have to give that position back, and he's got a penalty for it as well. But it's all going to happen. We've got 3 laps to go at the end of this one. Muhitti has a 2-second lead over Mr. J-Man, who's defending from Robsu and LB and Lawrence and pretty much everyone in this train.
I mean, Frostmaster doesn't even look like he's trying to give that place back to Daphne Hillis with that 3-second time penalty. That might be reported. That will definitely be reported to the stewards, actually. And Lawrence has gone incredibly deep into the first corner. That's going to fight Darth close to Femi. Has finally given the place back, and he's lost many, many more places with it. I don't know if that was down to a mistake or down to giving the place back, but look at Muhitti. He's 2.1 seconds ahead. That incident in the castle section has really given Muhitti the edge in this race at the moment. Robsu's still all over the back, but that penalty is really going to hamper him at the moment. The Mercedes looking good for a podium. At the meantime, the championship rivals still one car behind the other at the moment. Lawrence leading Daphne Hillis right now. Lawrence at the moment will outscore. Let's see where the fastest lap lies at the moment. It lies with Krauser in the Ferrari, so an extra point for him at the moment, which will help a little bit in their championship battle. But not all too much at the moment, but no changes to position at the moment. Closest battle on track, Robsu and J-Man.
It's brilliant defending from J-Man at the moment. Robsu just can't get near. We're going to have DRS enabled at the end of this lap. So towards turn 3, Robsu might have a chance, but Lawrence is back in DRS range of LB. I do have to wonder if they're about to finish like this at the end, is there going to be team orders at Mercedes? Will LB let his teammate through for an extra point in the championship? LB's an honourable driver. I think that is exactly what will happen if they're in these positions by the end. But Robsu now putting pressure on Mr. J-Man already. He's using the ERS. Down the straight he goes towards turn 1. Muhitti 1.7 seconds lead. 2 laps to go now, Sumo. It's all on. No more safety cars. Robsu using that ERS. DRS will be enabled on the run to turn 3. Can the Aston Martin finally get himself into P2?
Not quite. He's just backed off. He wasn't quite close enough. Well, he's going to look to the inside of turn 2. Maybe a late braking manoeuvre. Not quite. He's not.
Yellow flag.
He's spun!
Oh, no! Muhitti's all the way to the back, and now Robsu's challenging for the lead of the race. Round the outside he goes. He's going to go for it, and he's made the move. Mr. J-Man leaves him room, and Robsu into the lead. And now LB trying to challenge Mr. J-Man for second place. Lawrence could be on for a podium here, but Muhitti is going to be absolutely gutted. He's stopped on track. He's got his head in his hands, I'm sure, behind his wheel. He's been disqualified as well. I'm not going to uphold that. But Mr. J-Man still P2. LB trying to fight him. Robsu going to try and launch 5 seconds now. He's got that penalty. He's got to gain that time in the next 1.5 laps. And he's got to hope that J-Man and LB fights extremely hard over the next lap or so.
Yeah, he does, and he's got 1.1 seconds to Mr. J-Man at the moment, but it's really not going to be enough. He's really got to put on the pace now and get through. He's going to hope that J-Man does hold this, and he is fighting for a championship. Remember, he's got the 2 Mercedes behind him. He needs this position to really get himself back in it, because Darth and Lawrence find themselves off the podium, although this penalty could see Lawrence promoted onto it. Hillis is still lurking in the background, though, ever closer. This could be quite the sprint toward the finish, especially down towards it. Is there going to be team orders at Mercedes right now? This could be the perfect place to do it, and it's not going to let Darth Hillis get in too close as well. At the minute, maybe it's going to be on the last lap. Robsu sets the fastest lap of the race. It's still not enough to put out a gap. No team orders at Mercedes for the time being, though. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on the last lap. J-Man's got no ERS left to defend with.
Femi's down at turn 1.
Femi down at turn 1 as well. At the moment, he's gone wide. He's
turned
the brake magic off, and here comes LB. He's going to go all the way to the inside, finding the gap. He sees that red flashing light, and he's there before the braking zone.
Lawrence has braked too late. There's contact. J-Man's out the race. Lawrence that's surely his championship flashing before his eyes. He's braked too late. It's the last lap. J-Man's going to be fuming, but Lawrence just made a mistake. That's all it was. Darth up to P3. Lawrence down to 4th. Crozer's now there, putting the pressure on. There'll be damage to that Mercedes for sure. Robsu's in the lead, but LB is going to take the win as Lawrence goes very deep. He's just trying to hold on and get to the end. He lets Crozer through, in fact. He recognises he's made the mistake, and that is, oh, what a pivotal moment in the championship.
Look at Crozer's going to find himself back on the podium here, Ghost. I think he's close enough at the moment. Listen, gap to the leader. Oh, he's just out 5.9 at the moment. And Lawrence is there behind him, but I don't think he's really got much to go for it. But at the moment, coming through the final proper corner at the moment is Robsu. He's got that 5-second time penalty, but he is going to, barring any incidents in this final couple of kinks in this straight, going to come across in towards the DRS zone, down towards the line for the final time along this incredibly long sector 3, and he's going to cross the line to win on track. It's Robson on his debut, but LB is going to win this race. Darth Hillis is your man in P number 2, and Krause is going to miss out on the podium by 0.6 of a second. So Robson just making it on the podium for debut. Lawrence, well, I think the stewards will be having a look at that. That's a championship-defining moment for the Mercedes. And Femi Frostmaster will cross the line finally in P6. And that is going to be your race. And what a race it was.
Lawrence, I think, has just thrown away the title. Darth Hillis said something before this race. It was a bad omen for his rivals. He said that Brazil, which is where we're at for the finale next week, is probably his favourite track. So we'll have to see, but I think Lawrence has just thrown away the title there.
Yeah, I think so. He didn't really need to make that move, and I mean, J-Man will be classified, but that's going to change things up in the constructor standings for sure. But top step for LB. Are we in the party already? I think we have to move over, right?
Yeah, we do have to move over.
We do. Let's do that.
Yeah. Wow.
What a race.
So while Sumo moves over, it is P1 for LB. Darth Nihilus takes P2, Robsu P3 with fastest lap. What a debut for him. He was fantastic today. Crozer P4, Lawrence in 5th, Femi 6th, Mr. J-Man in 7th. Muhiti will be classified, I can say that, but oh dear me.
APPF1. Then Lawrence and Femi Frostmaster finish off the drivers who finished this race. J-Man is classified in P7 with Tyr, Netanel, JBS Steve, Smee and Muhiti not finishing the race. With Muhiti actually disqualified.
Yeah, absolutely right. I'm just adding our 2 other podium finishers, Robsu and I think LB's already added here. LB, I'm just going to ping them in the chat, see if they can get in for interviews.
what a race. Holy, says Ash in the chat. Oh no's all across the board for when Muhiti had spun and when Lawrence and J-Man had come together. What an end, says Rick in the chat. No from little Manny Man. He won't want to see that. The other half of the two Red Bull drivers, of course, couldn't make it today to the race at the moment. But yes, what a race we've had. And wow. You know what? Out of the 3 races that I've had to endure at Baku, you know, I mean, we've got 3 safety cars in that race, so we're up to 11 safety cars now in the space of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. I think that one particular race at Baku had to be my favourite of the 3 that we've had, Ghosts.
Well, we certainly had drama. LB, he just said in the chat he was thinking to himself he wanted Muhiti to win, and he wouldn't pass if it meant Muhiti would win, and then Muhiti goes and does that. Oh my goodness, Muhiti is going to be kicking himself, but obviously he could have had his first win of the season, but first podium of the season even. But I think the man who's going to have his head most in his hands is going to be Lawrence. You really have to think he's thrown his title away there. We do have all 3 in the chat. If you could all 3 go to party audio settings and make sure that your audio, allow your voice to be shared option is set to always allow, so we can hear you on the stream. But I'll let Sumo come to our race winner LB first of all, who is muted at the moment.
Yeah, I'm able to speak.
Amazing. So we've great showing in qualifying, a 40.0 if I may remain. Nobody was able to really get too close to that. And then quite a action-packed race. There was a safety car which you must have been a bit annoyed at when it came out, of course. And then there was multiple safety cars after that. Lots of battling, lots of action going on and up and down the grid, and not looking like you were going to win it, and then winning it in the end. Talk us through your race, LB. What happened?
Yeah, never really easy when it comes to racing in Tier 2 with me, because I was the whole race just thinking I was just going to bin it at some point. Someone is at the door. Yeah, no, I was just constantly thinking I was going to bin it at some point, so I was happy. And then I was obviously, yet again, Mr. J-Man is the one hunting me down when I'm trying to win. I feel like me and him are actually really sort of evenly paced. I'd say he probably has the edge on me because I was having to burn a bit to sort of maintain like a 2.5 second gap. That was like the main focus, and then yeah, the safety cars were adding in a bit of bit of tasty action. But fun race, to be fair, good race.
Yeah, it was a fun race from the comms box as well. It must have been even more fun behind the wheel, and you know, it just begs the question, LB, that if you had been, you know, a bit, if you hadn't been sort of so inconsistent and so towards the beginning at times, and actually sort of been in the championship from the start, you could have been up there with the rest of them.
Yeah, I was actually looking at standings the other day and looking at that. I think just like bad connection. Obviously, I think me crashing as well sort of went well. But yeah, no, definitely. If I didn't make those mistakes, I would have been in a better position. Connection's not really something I could do about, but I guess that's sort of like league racing as a whole. Really, you're always going to get that. It's just stuff happens, really. But it's just a game. So, but yeah, it's annoying to look back on what could have been, but it's fun to have these little races.
Yeah, better on your network provider's case, it seems.
Yeah, no, I'm making them.
Yeah, getting on their backs there. But you know, we were thinking about some team orders. Was there any thought of letting Lawrence through before that incident that your teammate had?
Yeah, no, there was. We were going to do it just like the straight before he decided that his brakes weren't going to work. But it sort of obviously that happened. We were trying it on the straight just before, but he was just too far behind. It was too risky. But I did say to him, I will let you through. He was going to get through, but then obviously he decided that Mr. J Ran's side looked quite attractive. So, yeah. Hopefully he doesn't do that again, because that's championship sort of done in a sense. He's mathematically still there, but he's going to need Duff on his side to retire or something. Especially like obviously numbers at the moment. Even to come last, you still get like 4 points.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be quite an interesting season finale, and hopefully you'll be up there in amongst the fight, LB. But well done today, top step of the podium. I think, I don't know how many times you've been on the top step this season, but it's good to see you up there.
Twice now. Yeah.
Twice
also,
now.
congratulations to Robsu as well. It was like those amazing little battles we had as well. Obviously, first, like I was a bit worried whenever I see like a new person, I'm always a bit like skeptical as to how it's going to go. But really good show. Unfortunately, about the 5 seconds. But yeah, really good defense as well.
Cool. Thank you, LB, and well done today.
Thank you very much.
Ghost, I'll hand over to you. I think it's Darth Willis.
It is. Well, Duff, you must have thought at points for pretty much all of this race, I reckon, you must have thought, right, well, we'll take the L here and we'll beat them at Brazil next week. It didn't turn out that way, thanks to some drama on the last lap. So just talk us through your race overall.
Not bad for a man who's sick, right? Who's like on top of drugs. Race a little bit dizzy, but it's fine. First of all, congratulations to LB and Robsu. Like they did a really good job. And yeah, the race didn't go well as planned. Like literally from qualifying, I did a Leclerc on the outlap, which compromised the start. And then it was a matter of surviving. I knew there were going to be many safety cars because it's a hard street track, so it was just a matter of not beating it and being in the race like throughout. And thankfully at the end Lawrence decided to help me. I don't know how, I haven't seen it. I just saw that everyone colliding in front of me and I was like, oops, I'm going here. So that's pretty much it. Pretty lucked out, I would say. I lucked out on the podium.
Well, you know, it's. I mean, I wouldn't disagree. Usually, I'm quick to point out, you know, to drivers who say they got lucky, that you know there was a lot of good things they did in the race. But obviously, you had the crash in quali, you had the spin early on in the race as well. But honestly, Darth, you did keep it together when everyone else lost their heads at the end, it seemed, especially your main championship rivals. So with a now considerable gap at the top leading into Brazil, you said Brazil was one of your, if not your favourite track on the calendar. So how are you feeling for your championship prospects?
I mean, it's nice, but at the end of the day, like the championship doesn't end until the last lap at Interlagos, so it's a matter of keep pushing until then, and if we can do it with a pole and a win, it could be amazing. If not, thankfully I have some buffer in the points, but anyway, it's a matter of taking it race by race. I'm not thinking about the result too much. I'm just trying to enjoy this back race, and I'll be looking forward to Interlagos because it's a track I really enjoy and I'm really quick at.
Well, fantastic effort from you to get yourself on the podium. And, well, I have to say, not to put pressure on you, but it is your championship to lose now.
Yes, it is. It's not over until it's over, so let's see.
Absolutely. Well done today. And
thank you.
I'm sure, well, no matter who finishes on the podium next week, I will be inviting... we will be, I think, inviting main championship rivals and the winner to the interviews. So hopefully we will see you next week.
Hopefully, let's see.
I will hand back over to Sumo to interview our newbie, Robsu. Thanks for waiting so long, Robsu, and what a drive you had. But I'll hand over to Sumo.
Yeah, what a drive. Me and Ghost had a great time watching your progress throughout the race, Robsu. You had some great battles toward the front and some very respectful driving as well, which is what we like to see in APPF1. And you had an incredible race. You made the most of your strategy. You was looking really put together on the hard tyres and on the medium tyres as well, and under those safety car restarts. Just talk us through your race, and you know how did you end up on that podium?
Well, it's kind of been as my first race in this league, so and we're in so late in the season, so I just thought, I have nothing to lose, nothing to win, basically. So I just thought, let's go for hards and let's pray for a safety car and then go for mediums, basically. And well, that happened, but my target was top 5 maybe, but getting a podium was, well, it was way better, but crossing the line first and not getting the win, it's well, it sucks.
Yeah, it's the race that could have been. That 5-second penalty saw you drop all the way down to P3. Only 6 tenths, actually, I believe it was, between yourself and Krauser for that final spot on the podium. So even lucky to find yourself there, but it's all about the fine margins in Formula One, and you found yourself on the podium on debut as well. Not too many drivers in Tier 2 have done that, although I've definitely seen a fair few great performances, and yours was up there among them. You must be quite happy with that performance.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm very, 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 very happy.
Yeah, I can imagine. And one question I must ask, we're toward the end of the season now, and we're going to have a little off-season, but season 7, what's your ambitions going for, Robson?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I mean, it looks competitive on tier right now, so maybe try get a win without a penalty.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm sure we'll see you on the podium plenty more times. You did look incredibly fast out there today, and hopefully that continues to go on. Yeah, a great result, Robsu. Well done on a podium on the debut. Are there any final thoughts you want to say? Anything you want to sort of add to the stream before we wrap up these interviews?
I don't know. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's been a pleasure. We had a lot of fun watching you race in the comms box, and hopefully it'll be plenty more of that to come. But well done today, Robsu. Great job. And without that 5-second penalty, it was a win on track, but a P3 at the end. Well done.
Thank you.
Right, guys, that's gonna be it. That's our interviews all done. But there's one more thing to do, and it's the driver of the day. I've been having a look at the old list, and gosh, there's a lot of names. I think
there are. I mean, it would have been Muhiti if he'd managed to win, but obviously, what happened. Honestly, for me, I would give it to Robsu on his debut if it were me. But I'm going to leave the decision down to you, Sumo, today.
Well, I was looking at Darth Hillis, and I think he definitely is one of the strong candidates. But winning on debut, great battles all around, and would have won the race as well if not for that mistake, which is a mistake all of us have been guilty of in the past. The 5-second penalty in the pit lane. So I'll agree with you guys. We'll give Robsu driver of the day, and he also got fastest lap as well at the end, which I'm just looking at. So even more points and even more cause for celebration.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So, well, one more race to go in Tier 2 this season. It will be Brazil. Obviously, as we said, it's Darth Hillis' championship to lose now after Lawrence. I think he's going to be replaying that moment at turn 3 in his head for the next few days over and over again.
Yes, and I think the stewards might have a little something to say about that later. Jackalacco not able to catch a break in the stewards room, unfortunately, over here in Tier 2. This is too much going on. But yes, as you said, guys, it is Brazil. It's the season finale, and I love that. I love Brazil. What a place, what a track it is for a season finale. There's been so many integral moments there, and we're going to add another one to them in about a week's time. We're going to crown a new Tier 2 champion, perhaps. Yeah, it'd be a brand new Tier 2 champion. I think most seasons we've had a brand new champion. I don't think there's been ever a double champion in Tier 2, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure you will correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Well, I think until today it was.
Yeah.
Like Darth said, it's not over until the checkered flag next week, but I think he's being quite modest there. He's got a sizable lead now with his favourite track coming up, when it looked like he was going to be against it until the final lap of this race. So yeah, it's very much his to lose. The Constructors is still on as well after a good finish from Crozer there at the end, after obviously Mr. J-Man and Lawrence's collision, but even so, it's still quite a margin to find on the Red Bulls. Ferrari will need a DNF from one of the Red Bulls next week. But yeah, both championships on, but it's just a shame that final incident. It's a lot of drama, but it's kind of put a bit of a dampener on next week.
Yeah, a little bit of a dampener, but I still think there's plenty of drama to go as I catch my controller from falling off my leg at the moment. But this is Tier 2. Anything can happen. This is motor racing. Anything can happen. You put those two things together and you have absolute spectacle. But I think that is going to do us for this evening then. We're going to close everything down. I hope you guys have enjoyed the race. Please do make sure you subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Like the stream as well if you've been watching and enjoyed the content. And head over to Ghost's channel as well. Give him some support. Show him some love over there on the onboard stream as well. We do like to have multiple perspectives here in Tier 2. It just adds to the whole spectacle, I suppose. But as for now, I have been Sumo.
I have been Ghost.
And we will see you next week for the season finale. Good night.